morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Day 26, I believe. So, right at the very end. Cool. So, we're going to continue talking about Jagrat, waking consciousness, Sushupti, unconsciousness, Swapna, the dream state, Maya, which is the top swoop of the Om underneath that main sort of reverse three symbol, which is the illusory nature of life, which suggests life's always changing, one, and two, we don't really know what it is. So we're sort of constantly in this unstable state, shifting from sort of a state of peace, for example, and then a state of disruption or a state of health, and then into a state of illness. And back and forth we go. And so this is sort of what's suggested by Maya. And our mind's job, whether it's dreaming, unconscious, or in waking consciousness, our mind is attempting to make sense of these eternal fluctuations. And then on top of the entire symbol, there's this little asterisk-like dash, and that is Turiyam. That's the fourth level of consciousness, sort of hidden and nestled inside the entire experience of existence. And the great goal of yoga is to build a relationship with that consciousness. It has other words or other names like Atman, like Jeev, the drop of life. To touch it is associated with words like nirvana, the extinguishing of the mind, the extinguishing of the Om symbol itself. Moksha, liberation, and so on and so forth. And so it's another way, another perspective of understanding or attempting to understand what's going on when we meditate through a mythological lens. And so before we get into our practice, which is essentially been the same regardless of what we talk about in the beginning, the opening discussion, the practice itself is essentially the same, and that's the important bit. Just like Brahma, when he came out of Vishnu and he's tasked with creating the world, he enters samadhi, he enters meditation, he clears his mind before he sort of embarks upon fulfilling his purpose. And the goal is sort of the same with us. When we, the idea is that we practice regularly and consistently so that we, get in the habit of clearing our mind, of wiping out Jagrat, of wiping out Sushupti, of wiping out Swapna, these different modes of perceiving the world, to enter a clear state so we go out and sort of exist as harmonically and as in balance as possible. So the techniques are actually the same. The point I wanted to make is that all of this is sort of a way of coaxing the practitioner, coaxing the curious individual into the experience of internalization. And the more we know about this internal space, the more information we have, it seems to support a more profound and provocative relationship to the journey. And so, real life scenario, I have a couple friends, who are friends, and one's a geologist and one's been like a long time naturalist. And it's nice for everyone to go hiking in the woods. We all innately love the trees and the birds and the ferns and the soil and the stones and the rivers and the geology and the sky and nature itself. It is innately sort of satisfying and inspiring and enriching. But when I go with these two people, because they have technical information of the environment, it is a whole new world. They know how the earth beneath the mountain is moving to create that sort of mountain. They know where that river leads and what type of ferns these are and where the pockets of these sorts of plants exist. And in that, they can predict on where the animals are and where the animals are not. And so as I walk with them, the landscape becomes something else. And that's because of information. The reason I'm sharing this is because if you take the time to really consider these words and these philosophies, the inner wilderness of the meditative experience is heightened and supported. When you have a thought, you know that it's Jagrat. When you lean into the blankness of an empty mind, you can perceive that it is perhaps Sushupti. When you start to fantasize or lose yourself in ruminating in memories or not, you can feel how that's Swapna. And if you understand how all of that correlates to the symbol of the Om, you are less likely to be pulled into the mind and into the trance of these dimensions of thought. And in that, gain grounds or gain traction in terms of the success of your practice. The point is Turiyam. The point is to observe all of this with uncanny sort of distance, and in that sort of occupy that stable, untouchable space for as long as possible. Cool. So I hope that makes sense. Simply said, learning is good. The wisdom of these philosophies is powerful. It'll enrich your experience of this inner wilderness. And now back to the second point. The technique, the process is the same. So we'll start with position one, wait to find some peace. Come to Bhumi Sparsha Mudra. We'll chant the Om and run through the four nadas. This is going to change our physiology, make us a little more peaceful, make us a little bit more alert. And as our brain literally changes and shifts gears, by the end, these philosophies are actually visible and perceivable. Awesome work, everyone. Let's do this. Tall spine, position one. Wrist rests on knees, nice straight arms. Rotate your palms up to the sky. And so yogic meditation is about control, narod. And the second you assume this posture, it means something to you now. Whether subconscious or conscious, you feel that control. At least I have control over myself. And the counterintuitive bit is, how do I complete myself? This is the essential quest of the human being. Yogis are human in that it is their quest as well. How do I complete myself? Not by grabbing, not by reaching, not by wishing, not by working into the external, building identity, building relationships, building career, building reputation, but by letting go of the external. And so bring a random finger to each thumb. Completion or perfection does not exist in the future. It only exists now. And so the mind has to relinquish. Start to control the breath. Breath of peace. Breathe into the belly, breathe into the chest. Once you hit the upper collarbone, pause for a moment, prolong the exhale. A relinquished mind is a mind that is only feeling the immediate reality of now. And then the mind asks, now is diverse, now is complicated, now is dynamic. What within the now am I supposed to feel? There is pleasure, there is pain. There is air, there is body mass. There are clothes on my skin. There's my tongue in my mouth. Feel the most subtle thing, vibration. Feel nud. And follow nud all the way back, as far as you can. So in 3 breaths, 3 slow, intentional, manicured breaths, try to provoke that peace by relinquishing thought and only feeling. Now hands to heart center, whether peace has come or it hasn't come. Just feel that by controlling your breath, becoming more present, which is happening purely through your posture and your breathing style, you have at least leaned into peace and made steps towards it. And this peace is only symptomatic of leaning into the true self, Turiyam, the infinite beholder, the formless thing that only perceives the world, but it does not interact with it. Peace is the consequence of associating more powerfully with that. Bhumi Sparsha Mudra, left hand on lap, right hand reaching towards the earth. Tilt your hips forward slightly, lengthen the spine. And now Shunyata Drishti, look into the blackness of your closed eyes. As always, appreciate the consequence. It wakes you up. If the details of your life are buzzing like gnats in your ear, like stars in the sky, gently push them away by focusing on the sensation of your breath. Every practice is a journey into a wilderness. Follow the path of vibration, the path of Nud. Okay, so we're going to chant the Om through the four Nadas. O-M. And just like yesterday, pay attention to the movement of your mouth. Relax the jaw for the O, feel the circular opening of the mouth. And as you close the mouth into the just be meticulous, symmetrical, precise, intentional, artistic, expressive. Really make something of it for yourself. Let's take a deep breath in and chant your mantra. Relinquish your thoughts and feel the technique work through your flesh, not as muscle, not as air moving through your throat, but as vibration. And as you feel it, consider this is a dimension of the world. This is a foreign wilderness. As real as any foreign country, as real as any distant land. Now chant the Om softly, moving from Vaikari Nad to Pashyanti Nad. Audible sound to a representation of inaudible sound. Feel the vibration rise, chant by chant, from the chest, into the throat, into the face, and into the skull. As you decrease the volume of your chanting, notice that it focuses the mind into a more intimate space. Your ears are listening more closely to you. From Pashyanti Nad to Madayam Nad. The sound that is seen internally, the sound that is felt. No more chanting, just mental repetition of the Om. At the same time, feel as you exhale the mental Om rising from the chest, into the throat, into the face, into the head. Feel, don't think. Acknowledge the steps of this technique, not just chanting the Om, but moving down the nads, transitioning from sound to silence. And now the Paranad, the primordial sound, no repetition of the Om mentally. Mental silence, you have relinquished the mind. Now just feel the buzzing in the body, permeating on its own, self-regenerating. And identify that as the Om. That is vibration. That is the underlying substance of existence, of reality. As it makes its way from the world, real or unreal, into your nervous system, up the spine, and into the brain and mind. So the great goal of all human endeavors, yoga included, and in that the goal of all techniques specifically, is completion. What yoga believes is that when we redirect our attention into the beholder, that experience of completion explodes into a feasible possibility. You can feel it. This moment is perfect. I sit at the summit. I stand at the finish line. The twist is that moment of completion is fleeting, as all things are. And so ask yourself, as you feel the vibratory nature of your body, as one part of your brain understands this is all very symbolic and artistically meaningful, transcendentally meaningful, but another part starts to believe, starts to buy into the philosophies. Who beholds this experience, whatever it is, whatever it isn't? And when you can really feel the deep self, the innermost individual, nestled within the buzz of the Om, the buzz of a living body, and the movements of a living world, when you can feel that, bring your hands to heart center. And that is Vishnu waking up on the god snake on top of the ocean of Maya. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And so there is nowhere else to go from here. In this moment, Purnam Adaha, it is complete. When Purnam Idam, I am complete. From this completeness, think of Jagrat, think of waking consciousness, and notice that it feels very much like a dream. And whether real or unreal, it is not the self, and in that, not the focus of our practice. And think of dreams, Swapna, and how when we are dreaming, they feel like Jagrat, they feel like they are real. But in this moment, very easy to sense. That is not the point. And then think of unconsciousness, and that in waking life and in dreams, in all moments, our awareness is limited. We are unconscious of so much. And so the shadow of the unknown, the shadow of the unseeing, unawake, is always there. But it does not affect the beholder. Thumb knuckles to third eye center. Turiyam, the top asterisk-like dash of the Om. What beholds my thumbs pressing into the skin of my forehead? Slow down your breath. As small, as intangible as it seems, as it is, this to the yogic mind is the most precious thing in the world. And again, to know of it, to believe in it, to have a relationship to it, to understand how to extract it, at the very least, it's intriguing, it's cool. But it more than likely is more than that. So a couple breaths, just you and this experience. Release your wrists to your knees. Random finger each thumb. Tall spine. In control, Narod. the breath in, open your eyes. Feel the trance of your practice wash away. And this is Jagrat. Again, this is waking consciousness. And there's this undertone of a dream, the effects of imagination and fantasy and even memory. So Swapna is sort of in the corner. And then there's the reality we are unconscious of so much. Sushupti is also right there.